Fucking tonight. Yeah, baby. Oh, gonna fuck you, baby. Fucking tonight. Go ahead and get it, baby. Oh, you know what, guys? You're working with the ass and the legs and the motherfucking head. Yo, I'm making out with your pussy. I said I'm working and sucking it and fucking it and working it and propping my hand up in your motherfucking body. Then come here, baby, while I'm sucking on and making out with your whole body. I'm tweaking on your body, tweaking on your nipples, baby. Yo, it's hotter than I anticipated. It's getting better all the time now. You make me tingle, make me sweat, baby. Make me do it, make me you're the best. I'ma tell you how to
work it, baby. Harder, faster, slower, bigger, faster, slower. Now I do it wider, up or down or lower, baby. You know I'm gonna fuck you, I'm gonna
fucking tonight. Work my body with your body. When you do it, put our bodies all together.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's episode number 72 of the Beer and Chicken Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann, and this is, like I said, episode number 72, and I'm here with the homeboy Cliff, a.k.a. DJ. What's up to the people, fam?
We need to say what's up to Mark. That's who we need to say what's up to. Hey, right when you came in, he hit with the whoa.
Hey man, shout out.
Hey, this is smooth right here, fool. This is smooth.
I can't see you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yo,
oh shit. My bad.
It's this like circular thing. It's this. Whatever it is. This is shit. Yo, I saw him. No lie. You know I don't get on Facebook.
Yeah.
Somebody
or Twitter for that matter, but that's another thing entirely.
Somebody had put on Facebook. He was live in this bar.
Okay.
He was live, like we're live right now. He was live in this bar. It was like a chicken and wing place wherever he lives. And when I tell you, it was kids there. It was kids and the whole night, yo, he was singing all of those songs in the bar. and them people was like this, fool. They was like
hey, I'm over here vibing to that shit.
Yo, I never heard of him before. After that, I found him on the gram.
Right.
I love him. The dude, first of all, dude got rhythm. Don't get it twisted. Dude got rhythm. He could put together a song, and he only talking about one thing. That's it. He only talking about one thing.
Matter of fact, Ashley put me up on him, right? Because I was listening to it, and she like, nah, it's gonna be even more fucked up when you see him. And so when I seen him, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
The white boy had that in him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Mark. Man. Shout out
to Mark, man. He got them vocals, man. I mean, he a rare breed.
That man stood up there with no shirt on. That's a brave move right there in and of itself, man. Just oh man, it's been a minute since we did this. It's been like a month.
Amazing intro. That's all I gotta say.
A month since we did this, man. So we had to do it right, man. We had to come in with some shenanigans, man. But like I said, this is episode number 72 of the Beer and Chicken Podcast. Before we get into all of the shit that we normally do, we talk all these sports talk, hot take shenanigans. Let me let you guys know how to let me let y'all know how to get in touch with us over here at the Beer and Chicken Podcast. Let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also email us here at feedback@thespanreport.com. That's feedback@thespanreport.com. Of course, you can leave us those emails, and those emails will get read here, replied to here live on the show. You can also hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. They can follow you where, Cliff?
On both of those platforms at DJ Neff Music. Like it says on the screen, DJ NEFF Music. on Twitter and the gram. And I check it. Whatever Spann talking about, he don't know what he talking about. Okay,
I don't know.
I'll be on there.
I
bees on it. Okay?
Y'all find out for yourself then. I ain't gonna even say shit no more. Just find out for yourself. Tweet the nigga and see what he say. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Tweet me right now.
Tweet that nigga and see what he say. That's all I'm gonna say about that, man. But you can also leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who goes about the minutes of doing that. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Beard Chicken Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. Also, Castbox. If you're listening to us on Castbox, leave us a comment on Castbox. We'll read those comments here live on the show as well. And you can also hit up our website. Go there. You can now watch replays of the show. We've got that shit all figured out, baby. You can watch replays of the show. You can listen to the show. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And of course, we really do appreciate all of that money over here at the Spann and Cliff Podcast Network and the Beer and Chicken Podcast specifically. You can also hit up our store, man, and get yourself some merch, man. Get yourself a fly t-shirt or something, man. It's hot outside, man. Get your tank top. We got tank tops too. Get the baby a onesie, man, because it's hot out there. You know what I'm saying? Now, real talk, you really ain't really supposed to be out there like that because the Rona out there. But still, man, if you're going to be out there, have you some nice shit, man. And the Spann and Cliff Podcast Network gear, Beer and Chicken Podcast gears really is kind of fly, man, if I may say so myself. So go ahead and get you some of that shit, man. Real talk, and help support to keep this show going, keep everything moving the way that we keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But yo, Cliff, man, it's been a while, baby. What you been up to, bro?
Working. Working. You know what's next, right? Working. No, man, trying to adjust. I guess that's the best way to put it, right? This COVID stuff, kids, man.
Yeah.
Not used to being around. I hate to say that, but it's like so real. Really not used to being around the children, during these times, man. But crazy, man. Been working in my yard like it's no tomorrow. I ripped up my whole front yard, man. The whole front yard, literally. Reset pavers, ripped up, like literally uprooted bushes, put down flowers. I mean, I've never done nothing like that before, man. But I would definitely say it's very fulfilling. Don't know if I'll do it again, though. I definitely say that. I don't know if I'll do it again. But no, man, it's been finally, like, today was the best weather day we've had in Chicago all year. All year, man. I don't know what it's like in the D, but it's definitely beautiful outside. I've been outside since 7 o'clock this morning, man. Literally, I just came in maybe an hour ago.
I was asleep at 7 o'clock this morning, but nah, man. I was up there, did a little yard work, man. I cut my front yard, edged that boy up, because you can't cut the yard without edging it up, man. It's like getting a haircut without a lining. You know what I'm saying? You just can't do that. Kind of like how we was talking about the car wash, man. You can't go to the car wash and not get Armor All on the tires. It's like taking a bath without putting no lotion on, man. You just don't want to drive around with no ashy wheels. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. I had to do that, but I got a problem, and we talked about this. And so, like, my backyard looks like a jungle.
Right.
My backyard looks like a jungle. So, like, I had like a lawn care dude, you know what I'm saying, to come cut my grass or whatever, man. I don't know what happened to this nigga, man. I don't know. I had another guy that I had, like, he was cutting my neighbor's yard, and I'm like, yo, man, since you're cutting his, man, how much is it, knock mine out? My man take a look at the yard. He like, oh, that's like $27. Odd number, but I'm like, all right, cool, man. I got $27 for you to go ahead and hook that up. So my man hit me. He gonna say, yo, man, but see, here's the thing. Like, I gotta go down south, gotta go down to Louisiana, go pick up some more equipment and shit. But I'll be back May 15th.
Right.
So I'm like, at the time, I'm like, all right, I might be able to hold off till May 15th. I can like cut my, my front yard and shit like that. I can keep that nice, and then he can come and like hook up the back. Nigga never showed, bro. I ain't seen this nigga again. You know what I'm saying? So now, 2 lawn care dudes just AWOL, bro. Don't know where the hell they at. Now the state is back, like, lawn care and stuff. It's back reopened. You can cut grass and shit now. You can do that kind of stuff. It's open like that. I ain't seen these motherfuckers. So the thing is, I would cut my grass, right? A lot of y'all are like, man, well, why don't you just cut your own motherfucking grass? I would cut my grass. if I didn't have this battery powered lawnmower that I thought was the shit when I got it, right? Because I'm like, man, I ain't got to go to the gas station and go keep filling it up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to like do the yearly maintenance on this motherfucker, man. All I got to do is take that battery out when I'm done. Boom, put the battery back in when I'm getting ready to get started. Boom. I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. That battery powered lawnmower that I got, if the grass is too tall, that bitch is just gonna shut off on you. It ain't gonna even try, man. It's like, just shut the fuck off. And then you keep going through that, and you draining the battery even faster. So it took me, I don't know, 10 hours to cut my backyard because I'm waiting on charging times and shit for the battery. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Right now my backyard looks like a goddamn jungle because my lawn care guys and dropped me, and my lawnmower just ain't up for the job, man. It just ain't for. I gotta find somebody, man. It's an emergency over here, man, for real. But my front yard look good. Oh, nigga, my front yard is tight, man. You wouldn't even be able to tell. You know what I'm saying?
You know what you sound like?
What's that?
You sound like, well, I know you shave, but like if you needed a haircut, you can do the front real good, but the back is just real messed up. You can't touch it because you don't know how to cut the back of your head.
I ain't got them kind of problems because I shave all of it off anyway, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not me. I ain't seen my barber in a long time.
Yeah, we can tell. Put that motherfucker back on. Put that motherfucker back on.
Look. There's a lot. Right now, whoever watching or will watch, y'all understand what's today's date is during the situation. So yeah.
But you know what though? You know what's real though? Like you ain't alone, man. Like I be watching the news and shit, and like some of the weathermen, especially the brothers. I be feeling sorry for the brothers because the brothers be out here bold, bro. They be like they lying, fucked up. Like they're like, hey man, at least put like a brush or something through that bitch. Like put a pick through that motherfucker line. Like put a guard on it. Have your wife take a guard and put that motherfucker on there. Nah, man. And they just out here just like, man, fuck it. Until I can see my barber, ain't shit popping. Y'all getting this shit right here the way it is.
It's tough.
So, man, let's get into some more shit, man. It's been a long time, man. We were supposed to have been doing recap of The Last Dance, man. We did the first two, and then we was gonna do episodes 3 and 4 with the homies Jay and Dane from the Shop Talk podcast, man. Cliff couldn't be on here for that one, and then we just didn't do anymore. So but we're gonna talk a little bit about The Last Dance. We're gonna talk a little because there's been some responses from some of the other players of the Chicago Bulls concerning their portrayal in The Last Dance. We got video of some of that shit, so we're gonna kind of dissect a little bit of it. Yeah. Let's get into some of this other news, man. Actually, while we're talking about other news, let me read off these poll results, right? Because I put up a poll. The NBA is talking about trying to come back this summer, right? What that will look like, we don't know yet. They talked about like getting together at was that ESPN Wide World of Sports, like quarantine all of the players there and playing all of the games there. There's been ideas of just like starting the playoffs. There's been ideas of, there being a 1-game playoff, and like some of these teams that probably wouldn't normally be in the playoffs will fuck around and like catch a lucky break and be in the playoffs and all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. So we took a poll and we wanted to find out how you guys felt about the idea of the NBA coming back or trying to resume their NBA season. So here are the results, man. Let me pull this up so you guys can kind of check this out here. Damn it, I ain't got this shit in order here. Okay, here we go. Check this out. All right. So, should the NBA try to resume their season this summer? 33% of the folks who voted in this poll said that yes, because the league minimum players need that money. That was the number one motherfucking answer. 33% of the people who voted in this poll believe it was because the players need the money. 22% said, yeah, they should start, but just start at the playoffs. 17% said no, because the championship will have an asterisk next to it. Okay. 11% says no, because the health risks are too great. And another 11% says no, because it's likely the fans won't be able to attend the games. And 6% says yes, but only if they play the game outdoors. So I'm going to go with you first, Cliff, man. What do you think about the NBA's attempt to try to come back? How do you think that would play out? And if it does play out, how do you think it should?
All of those responses, of course, those are, opinionated, and that's all good. I'm gonna kind of change the narrative of the question just a little bit. All sports right now it's just difficult to come back as we speak. I only say that because depending on what sport you support, that was like kind of a rhyme. Sport you support. Swallow, swallow. You had that shit right. You look like a chipmunk with some lights
on my monitor, man.
Just depending on like what sports you really favor. If you can't go to the game and like you're somebody who supports whatever team locally or wherever that is just going to be hard. You know, season ticket holders, people who take their kids to the game for their birthdays, and you know, people who get, I know like at Wrigley, anybody who has a birthday or anniversary, whatever the case is, all of that put together with all sports, it is just really difficult to determine whether or not it's safe or not safe to go back, regardless of the money. You know, right now, because it's getting warm outside, of course, they're saying that the number of people getting infected with COVID and dying is going down, and actually it's not. And then they're saying it's going to be like a whole other wave, you know, when it gets cold again. And now we're talking about when the season starts back up for basketball and then baseball and football. I don't know, man. You know, it's just really tough to put your finger on, you know, because it kind of depends on, and it's funny, me and you were talking about this earlier. It just kind of depends on how you dealt or experienced this whole thing with Corona. You know, I'd be damned if I go to any type of baseball or basketball, football game. I'm just not doing it. You know, mask or no mask. It's just too difficult to say whether or not, you know, even if they open up the stadiums, even though they're not, that I would go. And then if the players go back, you know, the crazy thing is, like, you know, if LeBron hits like a winning basket, you hear the crowd behind him. It's going to be like 5 people. Yeah, you know, and it's going to be kind of weird, you know, but, you know, and then these shortened seasons, the adjusted schedules, all that stuff. I mean, I don't think we're going to see any type of, if you want to use this term loosely, regularity with sports for a whole nother year, you know, depending on what happens in these next 6 months or whatever the case is. You know, for people to say, oh, they're only going back to get paid, like some of those players have been dealt, you know, firsthand on, you know, what happened with Corona and their family, whatever. And they might say, you know, no, I'm not going back, you know, contract or no contract. So it's so much to go into the equation based off of how you experience this whole thing with COVID to actually place where you stand with any sport going back. You know, with basketball, I don't even know why they're even going to try. You know, I know that I know a couple guys who are still in the NFL, and they just had their summer like team meetings, and they're going back. And guess what? One of the biggest things that the players are upset about is that they're not going to get any tickets to give away. You know, that's a big thing in sports, to have your family come and see you. You know, my wife's first cousin is Evan Turner. Guess what? Every time he comes to town, we can go to the game. Every time he comes to town, you know, and now that's taken away. And I'm not saying that's like a difference maker, like, oh my God, we can't get tickets. But, you know, it's funny how deep, you know, the rabbit hole goes with all of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna read off this comment that was left by the homie Elliot. He says, I don't see the point in continuing the regular season, as we were 75% through the season pre-Rona. Pay the players of the teams not in contention the rest of their salary and enjoy the summer. That said, do best of 5 series in the first 2 rounds and best of 7 for the conference finals and the finals. So he's looking at this like, yeah, start the season, just start the playoffs, pay the players to just like kind of stay at home. The thing is, with paying the players to stay home, although we know that their contracts are like kind of fully guaranteed, right? In the NBA, their contracts are fully guaranteed. But I think the thing that was the concern was, especially when you start talking about some of the lower level guys, some of the league minimum guys, is that the NBA was talking about like kind of recouping some of that money because those games weren't being played, those games weren't being broadcast, and a lot of that money was coming from the broadcast rights that, you know, like TNT and ESPN, all of those who were broadcasting the games. They pay for those broadcasting rights, and that's where a lot of the players' money is coming from. And so the NBA was talking about trying to recoup some of those monies because, we didn't broadcast these games, and these people who paid for these games aren't getting what they paid for. So that's part of the reason why I think, people were talking about like the players needing to get that money, because like the NBA was talking about, hey, we might need to like kind of pull back a portion of the guaranteed salary that you were supposed to get this season because of that, right? But I'm of the mindset of this, man. Like I kind of felt like, and I've said this months ago, I kind of feel like at this point, like the NBA season is a wash, man. Like to have them sit out this amount of time to try to just come back and just salvage whatever the fuck this season is going to be. It's just, I think it's too much to kind of get into. And then on top of that, I think it like totally negated whatever. If you were having a nice run leading up to this point or leading up to the end of like the Rona or whatever, like it totally negates all of that kind of momentum. It totally negates all of the chemistry that you as a team had that led up to that point where you guys will be okay. And now you've just, it's kind of like thrown in the air as to whether or not a player or a team will be a legitimate championship contender, right? So you got that going on. The other part about it that I think, I don't know how much, other people kind of, lend credence to this, but I'm of the mindset also that like, whoever wins the championship this year, ain't nobody gonna respect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a lot of people will respect whoever the league champion is because of the fact that like, hey man, like, yeah, y'all prayed. It's almost like the Spurs in '99 when they came back off after the lockout season. I think it's a little bit different because that was a labor dispute and they were actually able to kind of get a 50-game season in and go into those playoffs. But it's different where the work stoppage happened mid-season. And so now you just uproot everybody's, rhythm as far as the basketball teams was concerned. And so I think that if you brought everybody back and you had the playoffs and you started the playoffs, no matter who wins the championship, whether the Lakers won it, whether who's the top team in the East right now, I can't think who the top team in the East right now is. Do you remember? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear nothing coming from your end, bro. Hold on, let me see if I could do this here. No, I can't hear nothing you're saying. Refresh, bro. Yeah, you got to refresh your screen, man. I can't. Oh,
Hello.
there you go. There you go. Say it again. There it is.
You hear me?
I hear you now.
Yeah?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I don't know what that was.
All I know, I noticed the difference when you took one of the earbuds out, man. Like it went out. So like, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you took one of the buds out, that's when the shit went out.
To answer your question, I have no idea who was leading in the East. I have no idea.
I don't have in the East right now, but I'm just saying, like, even if those teams were to win the championship, the teams that we think were favorites right now, because of the way that the season was stopped and because of the the momentum that any team would have had going into such and such playoffs, I just kind of feel like the team who wins the championship at this point, it wouldn't necessarily be respected because of the nature of how they win the championship.
I agree. I wouldn't. You know what? And here's the thing. Like you said, the '99 Spurs, I was going to bring them up. I don't knock. I can't knock the team that won. But what I will say is people will look back, on the '99 Spurs, like I think, like Elliot said, and it'll be an asterisk there, like, oh, you only had a short season. Nobody got hurt. It was like, you had more advantages for you than disadvantages. But now, however this plays out, in time, this will pass and it'll just be back regular. So whatever happens to me right now kind of happens. Unfortunately in the world, everything is kind of like up for grabs. Nobody really knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So I think, honestly, for me, I'm just going to be excited to have something else to talk about. We're actually going to have something to speak on. Man, me and you go back 20 years. We can talk about sports until we blue in the face, and it's like to not have nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to have nothing is so weird. And even outside of the podcast, it's like, we talk about this. We talk about like our DNA is sports related. Being athletes, doing stuff revolved around sports, just all of that. And honestly, I've never really realized how much of my life revolves around, like, that is my true extracurricular. You know, whether if it's coaching my son's team or, you know, like last summer I played softball. I played on, a basketball team for 9 years. It's like, and to like have all that taken away the blink of an eye, you don't even realize that when you come home, you know, I can't even stand turn on SportsCenter because it just said special. And I'm like, what is ESPN special? It's just like they're just trying to make stuff up. They were showing some games, some soccer games in like Europe or some like local teams. I'm like,
doing cornhole championships.
yeah.
You down to cornhole, bro?
Hey, you know what?
The international beer pong championships, bro.
Seriously, and no joke, man. This may sound bad, but this is real. Ever since Kobe died, everything has gone away. Kobe was like, it was such a big deal, and then a blink of an eye, we have nothing. It was like Kobe died, that lasted for so long, and you look up, and now they took everything away. So you just never really know. So right now, however it plays out, I'm just gonna be happy to say, oh man, look at that highlight, you know, or did you see that? Did you see that shot or whatever the case was? Hey, Annette B.
How you doing in that?
But that's what I'm gonna be excited about, man. You know, when the football season starts, even though, you know, it's not gonna be any people in the stands, the biggest thing for me right now is to be able to see some of the players and see, you know, if they're still in shape or whatever the case is. So.
Yeah, the other thing about that, like I had like kind of tossed around this idea, man, of like virtual reality, like as far as being able to attend the game. You know what I'm saying? Like they set up these virtual cameras around the stadium, and then you could pay to have access to a camera closer to the, you know, to the action or whatever. Like almost how they would, almost how they would with you know, ticket sales or whatever. Like you want to be close to the action, then you need to pay a little bit more to get that kind of, you know, that kind of access. But it still won't be the same because, yeah, you're not gonna have the same kind of crowd interaction with what's going on the field of play or on the court or whatever else. But it still would give the audience a chance to somewhat attend these games, and also you know you're not really you're not really involving close contact with players and audience members, you know, the crowd and whatever else. So I would.
But do you think it's a disadvantage though? Because do you think it's a disadvantage for the players, the fact that they're going to be, you know, physically in contact with other guys, unknowing who they've been around? I just don't think that's cool.
Like what they would have to do is they would have to, of course, quarantine all of the guys, and they'd have to constantly test the people who are going to be playing in these games. And if you test positive at the games, then chances are like, okay, so you can't play and you're going to be down for the next 2 weeks until, you know, we figure out what's going on with you. You know what I'm saying? You have to adopt something like that where the guys who are going to be playing, they're going to be tested every game. Like before the game, every guy's going to have to get tested. And that's going to determine who's going to play in the game and who won't, and who's going to be separated from the team and who won't. And then, like I said, with the with the thing with like the cameras around the stadium or the virtual cameras around the stadium, that kind of allows for, you know, some of the fans to have some access to the games that they would like games they would normally go to, but now I can't go to them.
Right.
And VR headset or some shit like that, you know, because they had that kind of shit before. You know what I'm saying? Like people would wear VR headsets, or they would they had the headsets. Like I got one of these motherfuckers right here. Like put this joint on your phone or whatever, put your phone in here, and it will like, you know, give you like a virtual reality sort of experience or whatever. But yeah, man, like to do something like that, I thought would be, you know, it would kind of give us our sports fix, so to speak. But you know, I truthfully speaking, man, like everybody's health is paramount for all of us, to be quite honest with you. And while we talking about Sports Center, man, it was weird because like you talking about they were showing all these obscure ass sports, but they were also like recapping the sports games from The Last Dance like they was fucking new games. Like they was
yes. Yo. Hey, I don't know about you, but I felt like I was in high school again because I remember some of those games. You know, the game was to me. For those that don't know, my favorite dunk of all time is the Scotty on Ewing where he pushed him down. You know, when Mike wasn't playing that year. To me, that's one of the best dunks I've ever seen. It's the most disrespectful, most, you know, with the rivalry and just everything that was going on. They had that game on TV the other day, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this.
You know, like that I thought was a little bit more disrespectful. Kevin Johnson over Hakeem Olajuwon.
Crazy disrespectful. Crazy disrespectful.
Kevin Johnson was so much smaller. You know what I'm saying? Like Kevin Johnson,
so much smaller. Yes.
So much smaller. But to
shout out to Kevin.
The shit on the Dream the way that he did, so disrespectful, man. So disrespectful.
Like this. Yeah.
So let's get into some of the stories that we got, man. Let's see what we talk about.
You want to actually? I was gonna just have a real quick touch on the whole Jerry Sloan thing, real quick.
Okay.
You talk about NBA.
Okay.
If anybody does not know, just the other day, legendary Jerry Sloan, coach Jerry Sloan, NBA player, coach, the whole 9 yards passed. I was actually in my car, and funny thing is, I don't listen to the radio, and chances are, listen to the radio.
Yeah.
And Grant Park, baby, one of the only times I went to GP. Shout out, David. I feel you. I was there 3 times. VC Duncan Olympics was the got a play of the century, so I'm with that too. Jerry Sloan, though, real quick pass the other day, you guys. He was 78. Initially, people thought he died of COVID because of what's going on. That's not what happened. Just real quick on ESPN, they had a article here. It says Jerry Sloan, remembered by fellow coaches Don Nelson, Phil Jackson, and Lenny Wilkins. One thing I just want to point out, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Just to touch, Jerry Sloan's legacy. He had 11 seasons as a player from 1965 to 76. He actually coached 26 years, 23 of those with the Jazz. That's amazing. That is amazing.
That doesn't happen. No, that does not happen anymore.
No more. Right. No, super fact.
That long. I think the closest we got to that now is Greg Popovich down in San Antonio.
Yes. Yeah. It says in Salt Lake City, he instituted a no-nonsense physical brand of basketball that enabled the Jazz to advance to the finals back-to-back seasons, of course, against the Bulls, led by Karl Malone and John Stockton, who personalities mirrored that of their coach. It says even though Sloan never won a championship and incredibly was never named Coach of the Year, which I would have never thought that. George Karl said he was one of the most gifted coaches he ever seen. Let me just go down because I have something I just want to just touch on real quick. It says former NBA official Joey Crawford. We all know who Joey Crawford is. He had that little walk when he was running down the court. He said he warned younger refs that if they decided to slap Sloan with the tech, they should immediately turn and walk to defuse the situation. And you know how we love talking about the refs, but I love me some Crawford. So one thing that I just want to go to real quick before we touch on this was something that Phil Jackson said. Hold on one second. This is a long article. I got to go down to actually where Phil is. Interesting, man. I did not know he coached that long. I really didn't. God, this is a long article. Jesus Christ.
I think about like when I was, a kid collecting basketball cards and shit, and he was there from then to when I stopped. You know what I'm saying? And beyond, you know what I'm saying? It's like he was the coach of the Jazz for a very long time.
Very long time.
Coach of Jazz.
Last thing on here, it says Jerry Sloan. He was actually called the original Bull in Chicago before becoming a legendary head coach. He was 78. He was among the NBA's most respected admired legends. This is Adam Silver. He said he was the first coach to win 1,000 games with the same organization, which embodied qualities which made Jerry a Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer. But I would say this article goes on and on and on. I don't even want to read all this stuff. But shout out to Jerry Sloan. He definitely, when in the Last Dance, they had him in there, and the game where the Bulls beat the Jazz by 47, he didn't know what the score was.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, this is what it is for real. They only had 54 points, but
point in the NBA Finals history.
Yeah. It says he won 40 games every year as a coach, but won. Hey, man. But no, I just wanted to send a shout out to Jerry Sloan. Definitely a legend. when it comes down to it, if you don't know who Jerry Sloan is, you were just born, all right, or you live on the moon, all right.
Yeah, man. I was shocked when I heard of his passing, but then I thought about it. Like, part of the reason why he had stopped coaching was because he was sick. Jerry Sloan had Parkinson's disease, and it was the Parkinson's that was is what ultimately led to his his demise. And like that dude, like I said, we talk about guys being coaches for a long time. He's associated with that one organization, not only just for like his coaching career. Like, we know he was a player for the Bulls. As a matter of fact, he was the first player on the Bulls to have his jersey number retired. Number 4 in Chicago was the first jersey number retired in Chicago, and it was Jerry Sloan. But to have that level of longevity, not only with one team, but then he also coached Karl Malone, who's a piece of shit, but as a basketball player, he was great. Personality wise, Karl Malone is a piece of shit. Basketball wise, he's an all-time great. You know what I'm saying?
That's another story. I want to hear what that is, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then also, with John Stockton, man, like to mold a game with those two dudes and to have consistent success with those guys, man. Like, the Utah Jazz was a team in the Western Conference that was a constant motherfucking presence in the playoffs, a constant team that you thought could have gone to the NBA Finals, finally broke through when they got, they had a chance to meet the Bulls 2 times in a row, you know what I'm saying? But, you would have thought if, there were other times where they had opportunities to make the NBA Finals and didn't, because the West was even then kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? The Western Conference has been kind of dope for a long time. So
Facts.
the fact that Jerry Sloan passed away, man, I was shocked when I heard, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, he has been battling with that disease for some years now. And kind of hate to hear the passing of an all-time great, man. You just kind of hate to hear that pass, especially in the times that we're dealing with right now, when so many people have been, kind of like leaving this earth, man. It's just like,
crazy, man.
Just kind of hate to hear it go, man. But he says, David down in the chat room, he says, if I'm not mistaken, he won 40 plus games every year he coached but one. All-time great coach, man. All-time great coach, man. Kind of hate to hear these kind of people leave, man. J.L. Woodson, shout out to the homeboy, man. Go ahead and hit up the Creative Juices podcast, man. Go ahead, check his shit out, man. For real. But
hey, I found this one quick snippet that I laughed at. They said Jerry Sloan ran a disciplined franchise. C.J. Miles was 19 when he got on the team.
Yeah.
And Miles says that Sloan told him, I don't care if you are 19 or 30. If you're going to be on the floor in the NBA, you got to be able to step up and get after it. He says, we can't put diapers on you one night and a jock strap on you the next. This fool said diapers.
Hey, man, the babies was coming into the league, man. You had a lot of them young dudes coming into the league. A lot of them didn't.
That's right.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Corleone Young. A lot of those guys came into the league straight out of high school. Really weren't really ready for the NBA. That's part of the reason why they instituted that one and done rule, where you had to go to school at least one year or whatever. They're kind of moving away from that. They're starting to feel like the G League is a viable option for the players to kind of go to. And a lot of these guys are starting to say, fuck college altogether, either go overseas and play ball for a year, so players having more freedom of movement. But man, like, that was a time where, like, a lot of those old school dudes, they weren't really feeling these kids coming in there, like, feeling like they was about to be running the show. That's just what it was. So that's one of the stories that we had here in the news. Now, another story that we had sports wise is Patrick Ewing tested positive for coronavirus. We're going to read the story here. This comes out of ESPN.com. It says that Georgetown coach Patrick Ewing has tested positive for the coronavirus. The school announced Friday. The Hall of Famer is under care and isolated at a local hospital. I want to share that I have tested positive for COVID-19. This virus is serious and it should not be taken lightly, Ewing said in a statement. I want to encourage everyone to stay safe and take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Now more than ever, I want to thank the healthcare workers and everyone on the front lines. I'll be fine, and we will all get through this. The school said Ewing is the only member of the Georgetown men's basketball program to have tested positive for the virus. Following his famed NBA playing career, Ewing took over as Georgetown's head coach in 2017 after spending 15 years as an assistant coach for 4 different NBA franchises. Arguably the best player in Georgetown history, Ewing led the Hoyas to their only national championship in 1984 and won Naismith Player of the Year award honors in 85. He earned first-team All-American honors 3 straight years from 1983 to 1985. This shit reads like a eulogy. But
yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes.
No man ain't dead, man. But man, Patrick Ewing, yet another person who's in a time where a lot of folks are like getting their asses outside, man, not social distancing, not wearing their face masks, not doing the things that can kind of keep you from getting infected with this. We see Patrick Ewing just now coming down with the coronavirus, man. So yeah, man, it's kind of a wild time, and this part of the reason why, like I said, I don't know if we should even really be considering bringing back any, like, especially basketball, because you're in such close contact with everybody. But yeah, man, that's in the news, man. But we got some other shit. And the reason why I said we got some other shit, like I said, we were supposed to be doing recaps of the last day. Every week we were supposed to get on this motherfucker and like, yo, man, did you see this shit? Did you notice this? Such and such said this shit, man. That was crazy, right? We didn't get a chance to do that the whole time, man. Family issues, work, nigga went back to work, you know what I'm saying? Like, this motherfucker worked all hours of the day, you know what I'm saying? So we really couldn't get back to the shit the way we get back to the shit, right? But the last dance is over. People have absorbed it. Some of the players who were involved in some of the things that were talked about in the last dance have had some things to say about what was shown on the last dance. Now, one of the people who had a lot to say about this shit was one Horace Grant of the not only the Chicago Bulls, but of the Orlando Magic.
And I'll be a monkey's bare-ass uncle.
Yeah, man. So Horace is upset, man. Horace ain't feeling the last dance, man. He thinks it's a bunch of bullshit. He thinks this is some Michael Jordan propaganda, but he's not alone. He's not alone. They had Bill Cartwright on this. Like, there's this interview like this that happened on I want to say it's called Bet Online. They got a YouTube channel, and they had Horace Grant on there. They had Bill Cartwright on there. They had Craig Hodges on there. They had Ron Harper on there, and Horace Grant, right? So they had all these guys on there. And yeah, man, some of those guys, man, they're not necessarily happy with the shit that happened on the last dance. They feel like, Mike was putting out some propaganda pieces, man. They feel like this is just adding to the legend of Mike, and it's all bullshit. So let me go ahead and pull this video up so you guys can kind of watch right along with your, with your boys. And let's see what the hell they talking about. Wait, that's the wrong damn screen, Spann. What are you doing? Got all this shit going on. Here we go. Let's see what they talking about and they're calling it the final dance. Right? They're calling it the final dance, and apparently Scottie Pippen isn't happy with how he was portrayed in the docuseries either. So we're gonna play this video. We're gonna kind of dissect a little bit of what they're talking about.
Did you three guys believe that Scottie was portrayed accurately? Because friends of mine who are friends with Scottie from the Chicago area have talked to him, and he said, no, I think it was bullshit how I was portrayed. Do you guys believe Scottie was portrayed fairly and accurately?
For me, I was, and I'm still kind of upset about it because I know the type of brother that Scottie is. And Scottie is the type of brother, I wasn't part of the team when he didn't stand up for to come back out and play during that play. But I know that Scottie is the type of cat that will give his shirt for you, he'll go on the ground for you, and he'll kick out the shot for you. So for me, I didn't like how he was portrayed, and I felt like, it was I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I'm still trying to figure that out, that, without Scottie, MJ would not have won. It's like all the brothers sitting here. It's almost like MJ won in a vacuum. And it wasn't nothing like that, man. So to throw your brother, especially number 33, under the bus, man, that wasn't cool.
Horace, Bill, what'd you guys think?
It's interesting that when, the play where Pip did not come back in the game, that was Pip's best year. Pip had fallen into a leadership role. Yeah, he played great. So to me, people make mistakes and then you move off of them. So, Scottie, I think Scottie's got a big heart. Scottie, when I first got to the Bulls, he wasn't a great shooter, skinny, extraordinarily talented. So everything he had, he worked for. So, for me, Pip was a great teammate. And like I said, it was one man's show. And that's what they saw, but that's not really reality.
Horace.
It was straight up bullshit. straight up bullshit. How they portrayed Scotty. I mean, in terms of being the number 2 on that team, and how he came out. I mean, in terms of against Utah, could barely walk. Like how I said, setting screens, getting knocked on the floor, the whole 9 yards. And for them, that documentary to call him, well, MJ called him selfish. That's some BS. That's straight up BS. If it wasn't for Scottie Pippen, there would be no 6 championship. I'm telling you right now, guys. I mean, the first championship, I think MJ got in foul trouble with against the Lakers and Magic. Who came to the rescue? Number 33, Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen. And yes, indeed, he made a mistake. We addressed that after the game. And it was over with. And we took the Knicks to 7 games. And my question is, how in the hell did that get on this documentary when MJ ass wasn't even on the team?
Interesting. Never thought of that, brother. I never thought about that. Thought about that.
That's very interesting. And as far as let me get back to something, because I have to vent now. I got this opportunity. Didn't he call all of his former teammates out with the cocaine and the weed and the women? So who's the fucking snitch?
All right. So yeah, man. A couple of them guys ain't happy, man. Some of them dudes ain't happy with what they saw in The Last Dance, man. I got some thoughts.
Go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts first. I like this.
Okay. First things first. Is odd to me, right? So,
I'm going to cut you off. When you said first things first, I was about to bust in the biggies first. I swear to God, I was about to bust in the biggies first.
First things first, I found it very interesting that Craig Hodges was talking about, it's like Mike won in a vacuum. That like almost as if they were saying that Jordan was portraying this as he won these championships by himself. And this is said in a context where they're asking whether or not they believe that Scottie Pippen was portrayed fairly in the docuseries, right? And one of the things that you hear one of the first things you hear about Scottie Pippen from Michael Jordan on this docuseries was like, yo, you can't say my name without saying Scottie
Pippen. Yep.
None of these championships happen without Scottie Pippen. So like it was odd to me that like Craig Hodges, who we also know had issues with Mike because Mike wouldn't like boycott the NBA finals, him and Magic Johnson. He came to these dudes at the beginning of a fucking NBA finals to ask them to boycott the NBA finals. This man worked for this shit his whole fucking life. And now you want him to say, nah, man, I don't want it. Nah, that like, come on, dude. But Craig Hodges comes out and says, well, it's almost like Mike won in the vacuum. And, I thought he said he thought it was odd that, that ended up in the docuseries, the whole thing about Scottie Pippen not being in on taking that last shot or the fact that he didn't want to come back into the game because the shot wasn't going to be designed for him. The play wasn't going to be designed for him. It was going to Tony Kukoc, right? So I thought it was odd that like Craig Hodges would like frame frame it that way. That like, yo, Mike was trying to make it out like he won these championships by himself, as if we didn't all see Mike say, yo, you can't say my name without saying Scottie Pippen. I win none of these championships without Scottie Pippen. So there's that. Bill Cartwright, he talked about like, Scottie, like they talked about this after the game. He said, it was over with. We talked about it after the game. It was over with. In the docuseries, they was like, yo, man, we won the game, but when we went back into the locker room, we had to have a conversation with Scottie. Guess who was on the docuseries saying that? Bill Cartwright. So like they saying like we had to have a conversation. Scottie knew he messed up, but then also Scottie was on the docuseries saying he would do the shit again. He apologized then, but he said if he did shit all over again, he would do it again. Scottie Pippen said that out of his own mouth, right? Nobody made Scottie Pippen say that. That's what Scottie Pippen said, right? Horace Grant. because we all know Horace Grant got issues with Michael Jordan. Horace Grant's issue with Michael Jordan is the fact that Michael Jordan accuses Horace Grant of being one of the sources of the players who talked to Sam Smith, who wrote the book Jordan Rules. The book Jordan Rules wasn't exactly seen as a favorable look of Michael Jordan when it came out. It had a lot of salacious headlines in it. It had a lot of inside information in that book. Michael Jordan believes that Horace Grant is one of the sources of that, and they gave up information to Sam Smith. Now, Horace Grant acknowledges that he's friends with Sam Smith. Yeah, we're real good friends, right? Sam Smith also acknowledges that he's real good friends with Horace Grant. But guess what Sam Smith ain't do? He ain't said that Horace Grant wasn't a motherfucking source for that book. He ain't said that, as much as Scottie Pippen is saying that. Horace Grant is on some like, yo, I ain't never. He mad that Mike put that out there, despite the fact that it's already been out there. People already had this idea that like, yo, Horace Grant was out here talking to the motherfucking Sam Smith. Real talk, I kind of feel like, yo, all this shit that Horace Grant is saying now, yeah, you was definitely talking to Sam Smith, bro. You was definitely talking to him. It's written all over your face because it's so visceral. You know what I'm saying? His reaction is so visceral. But another thing though, so he's talking about Michael Jordan not being on the team when the play happened, when Scottie didn't go. He's like, yo, why he even putting that in the docuseries? He wasn't even on the team when that came out, like when that happened. Why he even put that in there, right? And in the context of the docuseries, like, yo, he was watching the Bulls as he was away from the team. This is how he was looking at the team as he was away from the team. But also, how you gonna be mad that he's talking about that particular thing that happened with the Chicago Bulls while he was away and he wasn't on the team when you weren't on the team in 98? You weren't on the team in 97. You weren't on that team in 96. So he reaches for one scenario to conflate the other to like make it was unfair for Mike at the time to call Scottie selfish. The reason why Mike called Scottie selfish at the time was because Scottie Pippen was unhappy about his contract. He needed surgery, declined to get surgery in the offseason, waited until the beginning of the season to go ahead and get the surgery. And the reason why he did that was because he didn't want to fuck up his summer. Scottie Pippen said that. And that is why Michael Jordan called him selfish. He didn't call him selfish when he came back from the back injury in the 1998 NBA Finals. He didn't call him selfish then. He called him selfish because he thought that, like, yo, you doing this is coming at a detriment to the team, and I'm concerned about what's going on with the team, and it's selfish for you to do that. So for Horace Grant to be out here like, yo, how y'all gonna portray him as selfish when he did this, that, and the other? Like, wait a minute. And if you're mad about Mike not being on the team when Scottie didn't go in the game, then where in the fuck do you find room to talk when you weren't on that team in 98? Where do you find room to talk? Horace Grant was a motherfucking source for Sam Smith. Sam Smith has yet to say Horace Grant wasn't one of his sources. Now, he said he's had multiple sources. He has yet to say that Horace Grant wasn't a source. Horace Grant was talking to motherfucking Sam Smith. He's a snitch. Also, the whole thing about being a snitch. Here's the other thing. So he's mad, right? He called him a fucking snitch because he's like, man, he's talking about the cocaine and the women and the drug and stuff on the. He like, ain't that being a fucking snitch? How was he snitching if the whole fucking team is known as the traveling cocaine circus, bro?
Yo,
everybody know them niggas getting high, B. Like, everybody, this is common knowledge. And he didn't name nobody. Everybody already knew that this team was called the Traveling Cocaine Circus. The fact that he had, as a rookie, he told y'all, he like, yo, this happened when I was a rookie. And like, yo, they had some women in there. They had the drugs in there. Yeah. And we joked about it. Like, yo, he kind of dry snitch, right? But at the same time, it was like, yo, man, the team was known around the league as the Traveling Cocaine Circus. He didn't drop names or none of that shit. But for Horace Grant to be a source on that damn rules book, to be that adamant and that upset, and on top of that, he keeps talking about somebody not being on the team. Guess who wasn't on the team when Jordan was a rookie? Horace Grant. Guess who wasn't there?
Yo,
a lot of this shit just ain't making sense, man. It's obviously personal between these dudes, these dudes or whatever. But I just thought it was wild, man. That like Horace got all this shit to say only because he's mad. That like Mike was like, yeah, Horace did that shit.
I am dying laughing right now at David. He said he ain't messing this summer up either. Yo, I'm with that, bro. All right, you said a mouthful. So
he also said he like Grant is such a snitch.
Yeah. Yo, you going in on Grant? I ain't knocking you though.
I'm saying, if you watch the shit, if you watched all 10 episodes, man,
yeah,
like the context of how shit was presented, and then for that dude to get on there and say, well, that was bullshit, this is all lies, because he's mad. He's mad that Mike said that he was a source for the Jordan rules. That's really what that boils down to. He's mad. It's a personal issue. And then, like, even with Craig Hodges, there's a personal issue there. There are personal issues with dudes.
All right, let me go back to the first dude, Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges was a great shooter. Unfortunately, the whole
everybody was tooting in the 80s.
I know, hilarious. That's why I'm over here dying the whole time.
Everybody was tooting in the 80s, man.
But
hey, was you in the 80s, Brother Williams? Was you out here tooting? Come on. Come on,
hey, you being honest right now. No, Craig Hodges was, and I'm not knocking Craig. If you power to the people, you want everybody to, be on that level, but everybody's not going to be on that level. All right. When it comes to being an athlete, you have to draw a line between, and depending on the time, you have to draw a line between if you're going to be an activist or if you're going to be an athlete. The Muhammad Ali days are over. The dudes was still high. But Craig Hodges, I don't know how he has that much to say because he only won one ring. He only won one ring with the Bulls.
Only on the
year that
I think he was only on their first championship team. I'm not sure.
He won the 3-point championship during the All-Star game, the 3-point shootout, right? And then he got a ring. So shout out to Craig. He was actually the coach of the high school down the street from me, and he never won. But all that to say, seriously, they had a losing record for like 3 years. They were like, we don't care if you are Craig Hodges. Peace out.
His last season was 91-92 with the Bulls.
Yeah.
So, I think he may have won 2 rings.
Okay. Bill Cartwright. When I think about Bill Cartwright, I think about how horrible his shot was. He used to like swing the ball all the way around. Like it was like you had the most worst form on the planet. But no. Oh, he won it the three times. Well, there you go. That's how much attention I paid to Craig Hodges. Horace Grant. All right. There has been word, only because my cousin was in the NBA around the time with Mike, and he played with Mike and all that stuff, that Horace and Mike never, ever, ever emphasized on the ever, never got along. Mm-hmm. So whatever the beef is between them, we just have to know this one thing. Let's keep this in mind. Horace Grant, Michael Jordan. like at the end of the day, like, dude, just know this. Mike is the reason why they won. So is Scotty. So is the rest of the team. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to remember one person. And when they talk about, the narrative of how The Last Dance was perceived, first of all, they didn't produce it. Mike gave his spill on whatever it is he gave his spill on, just like Horace and Bill and everybody else did. And when they took that stuff back to the editor and they created the whole Last Dance, Mike is not going to be in the edit. He's not going to determine all that stuff.
I'm glad you said that, though, right? Because there's a lot of people, the perception is because Mike had some level of what they would call, I think he might have been like an
influence
or something like that.
Yeah.
And people feel like this. People feel like Mike was in the cutting room telling you, no, this is going in, that's not going in, this is going in, that's not going in. And that's how people feel like the story came out because it's, the story does not happen without him. If Michael Jordan is not a part of the project, then none of this stuff happens. And so I think a lot of people, there's a little bit of resentment. There's a little bit, and some of the players have said this. Some of the players have said that they were like, we thought this was going to be a documentary
about the Bulls.
About the Bulls, not the documentary about Michael Jordan. But
I disagree.
But hold on. Think about what you're saying right now, right? Who were the Bulls before Michael Jordan got there? And if you're not going to have Michael Jordan's input on this, do people really give a shit? Most people don't give a shit unless you get Michael Jordan's input on what happened during those times.
My thing is this, just to add to that, since 1984 until The Last Dance was released, when have we ever really got a personal perspective on how Mike felt about really anything? Like, seriously, even at real retirement, let's just call it that, like, to actually hear Mike in his own home speak about situations, look at him watch these interviews and him give his live, like, opinion on what people said about whatever the situation was. To me, I was more happy to see Mike talk, and Pippen. I will say and Pippen. I've seen Pippen around in the last few years, but to actually hear Mike and his own element speak on whatever the case may be, to me, I'm really happy to see that, and then have them talk about the Bulls. Seriously, I'd rather hear Mike talk, and that may be selfish or whatever you want to call it. I was so excited to really hear Mike's perspective, because Mike was never really in the media, like, giving his real opinion or judging a situation in front of a camera live. That just didn't happen, because Mike was very private to some perspective. So for me, I love the way that they produced it. Could have been right or wrong, or could have went a different direction. Well, shit, everything could have some type of different direction on it at the end of the day, period. No matter what it is, somebody could have changed something to make somebody else feel better. But you can't make it right for everybody, period, even for the players, right? Horace Grant, he wanted, like, throw salt because Mike said whatever. Man, look, whatever happened with them, that happened a long time ago, and it's still live today. Do you think that right now that people are going to care about what Horace Grant thinks? I mean, honestly, I don't even care what Horace Grant thinks about.
Here's the deal, though, right? So, and I've had these discussions with some people online. I feel like this when it came to The Last Dance. If you were a fan of Michael Jordan, nothing in this documentary changed your mind about Michael Jordan. If you were somebody who did not like Michael Jordan, nothing in this documentary about Michael Jordan. If you hated that dude, there was something in there to show you why you hated that guy. If you loved that guy, there was something in there that showed you why you loved that guy. That's pretty much what we got. And so, like, the other part about it is, like, when people talking about this being a docuseries that's sort of like a propaganda piece for Michael Jordan, it was like, Michael Jordan didn't always come across looking good in this docuseries, man. Like,
I was about to hit on that.
He didn't come across all the way. He didn't always come across like a good dude. Like, when they talked about his the way he talked to, like, Scott Burrell, that was like, God damn, dude, for real, do you really need to do all that? When he talked about him getting into a fight with Steve Kerr, I'm like, damn, do you really have to so there were instances where, you look at Michael Jordan, and, like, even Michael Jordan is saying, like, yo, man, I don't want to, or better yet, not that I don't want to. Michael had this idea that, like, there were going to be parts of this docuseries that he was worried that people were going to look at him differently. He was worried about people looking at him like a tyrant. You know what I'm saying? He even spoke to it in the docuseries. And so for him to be worried about how people were going to perceive him after this, for him to be talking about, like, I kind of wish that I wasn't necessarily a role model, because there's no winning in that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were parts of this docuseries where it was like, there was always something, whether you love that dude or whether you dislike this guy, there was something in there for you to dislike him for and to love him for. Now, some of the things that I've seen, like, people were talking about, some folks were saying some shit like, but he was being an asshole, but then you got people that's walking away saying, like, they gonna do this at their job, this and the other. Yeah, they fucking fools. They stupid. They not Michael Jordan. They not.
Let me ask you something.
They're
let me
not
ask you something.
that Michael Jordan was playing at. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody who walked away from this series talking about some, that's why, that's why Mike was successful and I'm going to apply that to my life. Like, hey, nigga, you ain't him, though. This, like, hey, man, you work at the fucking sanitation department, bro. Like, you're not going to be able to get away with talking to people like that. You know what I'm saying?
But you know one thing, and like between me and you, we were serious Bulls fans. To look at the whole series from the eyes of the players, is the first time I've ever heard some of the things that they've ever said. Because we had our own, whatever the information that we had at that time, that's what we took. We never really heard it out their mouths. And like to see and hear how they felt when that stuff was going down. For example, like, B.J. Armstrong. I thought B.J. Armstrong was the softest point guard on the planet. I really did. I'm like, this dude is just a fill-in.
But he's a kid, man. That's the whole thing with B.J. He looked like a kid.
He still looks like a kid with gray hair. But, you know what I'm saying? I still, to even hear him talk, and he was not like the biggest difference maker on the Bulls. Like, his angle and like to hear perspectives that you never heard before about situations that were happening at that period of time, man, I think as a whole, it was well put together. There's no way half of that documentary was not going to be about Mike, period. And the thing is, if you ask me, 50% was about Mike, 25% was about Pippen, and it was just everybody else.
Not really. So here's the way that they kind of structured it. The first episode, Mike. Second episode, Scotty. We get history on Scotty Pippen. Third episode,
Rodman.
History on Rodman. Fourth episode, history on Phil Jackson. Those were the four. Those were the four of that last thing. And then everybody else are ancillary kind of like players in this whole narrative. Like, are we really, really, really looking for Judd Bushler to tell us, like, yo, man, give us a real inside scoop, Judd? You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to hear from Judd Bushler. Hey, do we really want to hear from Ron Bryant?
Bill Whittington.
Bill Whittington was in it, but I'm just saying, like, you got guys who were part of that squad that nobody really gave a damn about, man. Like, they were part of the team. It was a great team, but nobody really cared to hear what their mentality, what their contribution. Nobody, and it's sad to some degree. On a great team, but like if we're talking about the influence, nobody cares that Bill Whittington was on that team. Luke Longley, nobody kind of really cares what Luke has to say about that. Like, we are looking for Phil. We're looking for Dennis Rodman. We're looking for Scottie Pippen. We're looking for Michael Jordan. And then when you do get to somebody like, a Horace Grant.
Tony Kukoc.
But even Tony Kukoc, like, still a role player on that team. Still a role player on that team. Now, the other part about this is like the Jerry Krause, how Jerry Krause was portrayed.
Right.
And I said this after the first two episodes that I thought that is like as bad as some of the things that Jerry Krause said, like to kind of undo the team. Ultimately, like I didn't perceive him as the ultimate villain. It was Jerry Reinsdorf, because Jerry Reinsdorf was the one who had the decision-making power to say, hey, this is going to happen or this isn't going to happen. And Jerry Reinsdorf allowed for Jerry Krause to kind of move in a way where like the Bulls organization was put into a position where like, yo, Mike is gone, Scotty's gone, Phil is gone. Like, we just gonna move into a whole other direction. Now, you winning championships, bro. Like, those things don't just come willy-nilly, as the Bulls have found. Like, shit has been 20 years, bro. We ain't won shit. Like, those things that just don't come willy-nilly, man. So, like, the idea that, like, yo, you let this dude talk himself into a position where you're gonna be rebuilding for the next 20 fucking years. You don't see another championship for another 20 years. And somebody like Reinsdorf, who we talked about with the White Sox, to a large extent, when it comes to Reinsdorf, it's about the money, not so much about the championships. But for somebody who's rooting for those teams, it's frustrating as hell to allow somebody like that to have you usher out a championship squad. Let them lose that shit on the floor. Don't let them lose that shit because y'all just don't want to pay motherfuckers. You can't get with the personalities. Let them lose that shit on the floor. And I'm going Reinsdorf more than Jerry Krause.
Well, here's the thing. Do you blame Reinsdorf? I'm going to disagree with that because
Yo, what's going on? How you feeling, brother? I'm sorry, Cliff. Go ahead. I'm just, shout out chat room.
Shout out to Ryan. Yes, Ryan Cliff, he has the last say. But at the end of the day, the owner will always say it's the GM's job. That is, they're going to put all the weight on their shoulders. That's period. Am I saying that you're wrong? No, but I disagree because guess what? If Krause for real wanted to fight for that team, he'd have fought for the team, and he didn't, and it showed that he didn't. But I will say this, man. When it comes to back office, me and you both have the same feelings towards, how Chicago. We're just going to use Chicago as an example. Gets down, after championship winning teams, how they dismantle teams. How the hell the Bulls stayed together for 3 years, I don't even know, especially when they had Crazy Robin and everything else. But the bottom line is, with anything as far as being successful, you need two things. You need to be disciplined, and you have your little luck. And they had a whole lot of luck, and they had a whole lot of damn discipline, and they had a great coach. And the fact that he let these guys the way he did, it's the reason why they were able to get a three-piece. I'll tell you right now, man, me and you talk about this all the time. I have not watched basketball for real after Mike left because to me, I had nothing left. And basketball changed the way the game was played, the way the game was officiated, and a few other things. So for me, I am fulfilled with my basketball, NBA, whatever you want to call it. And if nothing ever happens again in Chicago, I can definitely say I experienced everything I need to see all the teams that I want. Every team in Chicago has won since I've been alive. Every team, every last one of our, major sports teams have won. And the Bulls being at the top, it's like nobody can say anything, nobody can say nothing. And with that documentary, I love who I love? I love Phil. Phil get high every day. No, you can't tell me Phil don't smoke. All right, Phil gets high because he never ever changed. He always cool. He like 7'2", but he was who he was when he got to the Bulls is the same person he is today. And I feel bad for Mike because even though he is looked at as the greatest player of all time, that's a tough position to be in. He even they stated in the documentary, he just wants to be alone. This dude can't go to McDonald's, and at the end of the day, this documentary shows how he lived his life for his career with the Bulls. And I'm sorry, man. I don't know if I'd have been able to handle that shit. I'd be like, hey, y'all, that's wild. That's wild.
It was definitely like kind of eye-opening to kind of see like some of the how crippling that level of fame could be to somebody where you can't go anywhere at all alone to be just a regular person. You always have to have a security. It's almost like being a president, man. Like president of the United States get a Secret Service detail the rest of their life now. You know what I'm saying? Even Donald Trump punk ass get a Secret Service detail. That's some bullshit. But anyway, but you get a Secret Service detail the rest of your life. And I think like for Michael Jordan, the way that he lives or the way that like as famous as he was, like even to some degree still is, man. He can never really move in a way in which like regular people move. And we got a little bit of a glimpse of that throughout this docuseries, man, real talk. But we got somebody here in the green room, man. Let's see who this is. Who is this dude, man? Who is this, man? Why y'all? He just chilling in the chat room. Backyard, man.
Yeah.
My man just chilling with the white beater, like,
Yo, that is too funny.
We got the family out back, man. It's Memorial Day. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
We good, baby.
I didn't even know that.
Hold on. How long you been in there?
He been in here for a while. I was just waiting for time to put it.
For a minute.
He been in here for a minute.
I ain't put me in yet.
I just want you to know the whole world is looking at you right now in that wife beater. I'm just saying.
If I go viral, I get my wife beaten. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. What you think, man? What you think about this? Some of the things that have been said by some of the other players of the Chicago Bulls after the Last Dance docuseries finished up. How do you feel about it?
Only person I was kind of salty at was the way Horace popped off.
Yeah, man, me too.
He showed a whole lot of aggression towards Mike. You want to whoop his ass and all this because he still holds grudges towards people. Horace got some grudges.
Horace is hot.
He kind of salty. They got rid of him. He went to Orlando and they had a nice 2-year run, but I think he wanted to stay with the Bulls.
Then he went to the Los Angeles Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, and I think he won a couple more rings.
He did nothing over there. He did nothing over there, though.
Yeah, but I think he still ended up getting.
What was he there?
I think he probably won 2. I think he probably won 2 over there. But yeah, like I just kind of feel like the thing with Horace, man, is that like you could tell it's a lot of like personal animosity. It's not necessarily anything that had to do with the docuseries itself. It's a lot of personal animosity between him and Michael Jordan, and this was his opportunity because nobody. Here's the other part: nobody would be listening to Horace Grant right now had it not been for this docuseries. Nobody would give a fuck what Horace Grant would be talking about right now had it not been for this docuseries. So as much as he hates Michael Jordan, had it not been for Michael Jordan, he wouldn't be able to have a chance to like kind of even express his hatred of the dude right now. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy how that kind of works, you know?
So Horace got 1 ring with LA. The first year that Kobe got his is the year that Horace was there.
Oh, okay. I thought he was with them for a little bit, but okay.
No, he went back to LA. He went back to LA a couple years later, but they didn't win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was a zero. He was a non-factor. At that point, he was a non-factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that time, Harvey. At that time, his brother was playing bad over in Washington. He was better at that time.
I hear you, man. Hey, man,
that's like Dominique faded.
Yeah, Dominique in Boston. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody remembers Dominique in Boston. You know?
Oh my God!
Remember that era? Gerald was playing with the Knicks.
By that time, Gerald Wilkins was the better Wilkins. You know what I'm saying?
He's the better one at that time.
Indeed, man. Y'all over there social distancing, man. I see y'all over there with the table and whatnot. I know y'all.
It's just me, the wife, and the kid.
There you go, man. Keep it safe over there,
the neighbors across there. We social distance from there.
There you go. Shout out to the family, man. For real. Appreciate you coming through, Shiki. We'll talk to you later,
all right,
bro.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
All right, man. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't got nothing else, man. I'm starving.
All right. This is what we gonna do, like we always do.
Like we always do about this time.
No, we'll do it live. Fuck it.
Go ahead and wing it, brother. What you got?
I'm really winging it right now because I ain't really got nothing. I'm gonna just stick to the Bulls. Horace, quit hating, man. Like just know that you ain't Mike. It's only one Mike. You know what? I was gonna speak on something earlier. Jerry Krause said something that stuck out like a sore thumb, which is probably the truest thing that I've ever heard him say, and I've always said this. Michael Jordan is not the biggest basketball player of all time. Michael Jordan is the biggest athlete of all time. Everybody in every sport, you can be playing golf, soccer, tennis. It doesn't make a difference. Everybody wants to be like Mike. No, and it's like an idea. It's not necessarily representing a basketball player. It's the idea of greatness. And, I think of like people who have the Michael Jordan brand. They wear that brand because they want to be as successful as him, and the funny thing is when it comes down to Horace Grant, he got 4 rings and much respect to Horace because honestly, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Horace was very effective. But for the time they won those rings, I definitely get mad props to that. But for all that, but all the extra to me, sometimes your opinion doesn't matter. The results is what actually counts. you know, because sometimes your opinion and your judgment can get in the way of your success. And because of Michael Jordan, he wants to find these other, you know, negative, you know, ideas that will portray Mike as a human being. And the thing is, Mike accepts that he is a human being. Like, they weren't repetitive as far as saying things that Mike said on how he needed Pippen or everybody else for that, you know, for that fact. So, Horace, just look, man. First of all, the whole world is going to want to hear what Mike says, not you, bro. He could not been on the documentary, and it would have made me no difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But no, that's all I got, man. You know, that's all I got.
Indeed.
Kiss the girl. They all want to be.
So, this is what I'm winging it on, man. Normally, your man Spann would be in Chicago today. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother turned 84 years old today. Today is my granny's birthday.
What? I'm calling 18 when we get off the phone.
Yes, indeed. Granny's 84th birthday is today, and normally I would be in Chicago, but because of the coronavirus, because of COVID-19, your man Spann can't be there. But trust and believe, man, my grandmother is probably one of the sweetest people you ever will meet.
Yeah.
Like one of the most coolest. Me and Granny right now would probably be turning up a beer right now. This is something me and my granny do. It's only something me and my granny do. Like, she got 13 grandkids. I don't know how many great grandkids, but I'm the only one she gonna turn up the bottle with. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that me and my granny, we share together, man. Anytime we get together, I make sure that me and my grandma have a good time, man. I love that woman immensely, man. I got a chance to talk to Granny earlier. Gonna talk to Granny again because we're gonna do a little Zoom birthday party for her, man.
Hey, send me the link.
We'll do. As soon as we get that joint, I'll send it to you. But yo, man, happy birthday, Granny. I love you so much. And you're my favorite person in the whole wide world. And the whole wide world needs to know how great you are, man. Real talk. So, yo, man, that's what I'm winging it on, man. Granny is the greatest. And we're going to get on up out of here. But before we do, let me remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Beer and Chicken Podcast and let your voices be heard, man. Go ahead and hit us up on our hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to. And if you're watching us live, when we do these shows live on YouTube and Facebook, because we live on both of those boys simultaneously. When we do these shows live, man, you can call into that number, chop it up with your man Spann, chop it up with your man Cliff, and talk that shit with us, right? So go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. You can also email us here at the show at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails. Those emails will get read here and responded to here live on the show. You can hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. And you can follow the homeboy Cliff where?
Y'all know I respond outside of what Spann talking about. Because the thing is, he ain't never sent me a tweet. So how he know? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
DJ Neff Music. That's DJ NEFF Music on Instagram and Twitter. Holla at your boy.
Okay.
Drink your beer. Don't be holding your beer waiting for like me to finish. You got it all in the air by the speaker.
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Nah.
Just tweet the nigga and find out. I ain't even got.
You sounded kind of Horace Granny right now. You sounded kind of Horace Granny in a way. You know what I mean? That's what I'm Horace Granny.
Hey man, I'm more like Jerry and Grant. You know what I'm saying? No, man. But also, man, hit us up with a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. We really do appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that. It doesn't cost you nothing, man, to go ahead and leave us those 5-star reviews. But it does help us on those iTunes reviews, man. It like help other people find the show. Tell people why you rocking with us over here at the Beer and Chicken Podcast, man. And I also know that you can listen to the Beer and Chicken Podcast on the Spann and Cliff podcast feed, right? But the Beer and Chicken Podcast also has its own feed. You can find the Beer and Chicken Podcast by itself on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on Spotify, on anywhere you find podcasts. You can find the Beer and Chicken Podcast by itself. So go ahead and leave us a review that way, man. On 5-star reviews, it really does help people find the show, find some black sport podcasters and whatnot. We really do appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that, man. Real talk. Also, hit us up on our website, www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls, man. You can leave us comments there. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And, of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Podcast Network and the Beer and Chicken Podcast specifically. And you can also, like I said, man, get yourself some merch, man. Get yourself a fly t-shirt or something. I'm really looking into getting us some hats, man. Like some fly ass fitteds would be dope. And I'm looking into getting it done.
Dope.
But before we can get that, man, we need y'all to get some shit from the store that we got already, right? Go ahead, copy some shit, man. Go ahead, get you a onesie for the baby, man. Because the onesie walk around with the beer and chicken on his chest, man. It'd be dope, man. Get yourself a water bottle because it's hot outside, man. You're gonna be drinking, hydrating. Keep yourself hydrated, man, with that beer and chicken water bottle. You know what I'm saying? He drinking beer and shit. I'm drinking beer.
You said hydrated.
I'm just saying that the beer gonna dehydrate you a little bit, man. We're gonna talk later.
But is that Crown Peach? Is all I'm saying.
Now this is the Crown XO. I'm drinking Crown XO right now.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm drinking Crown XO. But yo, get yourself that stuff out of our store, man. We really do appreciate y'all who do that. And you can also donate to the show too, man, as often as you like, as much as you like. And we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann and Cliff Podcast Network, man. Real talk. But we about to get on up out of here. And like I said, my granny's birthday is her 84th birthday today. So once again, shout out to you, Granny. I love you so much. And we will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.
Peace out, y'all.